There are ships that sail into legend. And then, there are ships that vanish into silence. The Henrietta Marie was one of them. No war, no weather report. No monument, no memory. She simply disappeared, along with over 200 enslaved men, women, and children chained below deck. 300 years later, a team of divers stumbled upon her grave, 24 feet beneath the Florida surf. At first, it looked like nothing more than sea-worn debris, until they found the shackles, small ones, child-sized, and with them, a bell. The name etched into its side would shake the conscience of the world. Henrietta Marie, London, 1699, a slave ship. Lost to the sea, and buried by time, this is not just the story of a sunken vessel. It is the story of a genocide forgotten, and a silence designed. Because the Henrietta Marie didn't just drown in water, she drowned in denial. In 1699, she was just another ship on the Thames. Nothing special. Nothing infamous. The Henrietta Marie had made many voyages, transporting sugar, rum, and Africans. She was built for the trade, refined by cruelty. A merchant ship outfitted with shelves instead of bunks, chains instead of hammocks. There was no comfort aboard her, only calculation. Her owners were London merchants, businessmen, names buried in profit books. They commissioned her for one final trip across the Middle Passage, from England to Africa, then the Caribbean, and back. She left London in September 1699. Records say she was bound for the Bight of Benin, the slave coast. Her holds were empty. But her mission was clear. In West Africa, she was filled with human cargo. Over 200 men, women, and children, kidnapped, bartered, or sold. Packed below deck with less space than coffins. She sailed into the Atlantic with 190 enslaved Africans. 2 would die before the ship ever reached Jamaica. The Henrietta Marie arrived in Port Royal in May 1701. Her human inventory sold for sugar, cotton, and coin. The crew celebrated. They had done their job. She left Jamaica in June. The holds were now filled with goods, no more cries from below deck. Just silence and sails. And then she vanished. No wreckage. No message. No survivors. It was as if the Henrietta Marie had slipped from history. Swallowed by the Atlantic. Like the people she once carried. For nearly 300 years, no one spoke her name, because no one remembered it. For nearly 3 centuries, the Atlantic held its secrets. The Henrietta Marie had vanished, swallowed by the waves. No survivors. No witnesses. Only silence. But in 1972, off the coast of Key West, fate shifted. A team of treasure hunters was searching for Spanish gold, and stumbled upon something far more valuable, and far more horrifying. At the bottom of the ocean, 35 feet deep, they found rusted iron shackles. Hundreds of them. Still bolted together in pairs. Still closed. Nearby lay fragments of trade goods, beads, cowrie shells, musket balls, items used to purchase slaves. And then, a brass nameplate, still legible, Henrietta Marie. It wasn't a merchant ship. It was a grave. What they raised from the ocean wasn't treasure, it was evidence. The largest collection of English slave ship artifacts ever found. Some of the shackles were so small. They could only have been worn by children. The ocean had preserved not just metal, but memory. A memory no one wanted to remember. Historians began digging. The Henrietta Marie had been insured. Her voyages logged. Her human cargo listed by number, not by name. The ship had made at least 2 full slaving voyages. In 1701, she unloaded 190 slaves in Port Royal. Then, she sailed for home, and never made it. Some say she hit a reef. Others say it was sabotage, a mutiny, or divine justice. But one truth is certain, she sank near the same waters where she sold lives for sugar. The Henrietta Marie had disappeared without a trace, until her chains rose from the sea. And with them, the voices of the dead. To the British crew, it was just another transaction. To the captains, it was profit. But to the Africans aboard, it was a descent into a nightmare, the beginning of the end. The Henrietta Marie anchored off the coast of modern-day Gambia. British merchants exchanged iron bars, cowrie shells, and glass beads for people. Entire families were marched from inland villages, captured by rival tribes, sold by local warlords, or simply taken in raids. Men, women, even toddlers were branded with hot irons. A mark of ownership, not a name. Below deck they were packed side by side, stacked, shackled, stripped of identity. A living cargo of flesh. Each life reduced to inches of space. Each scream muffled by the sea. They defecated where they lay. Disease spread fast. So did despair. And yet, to the investors in London, these were merely losses in transit. The ship's manifest coldly listed 250 slaves. The youngest was estimated to be 5. Every entry noted gender, condition, and market value. Like cattle. Not children. And then came the part no number could explain, the silence. The agony between the lines. The part of history deliberately erased. For each body sold, the Henrietta Marie made a profit. And those profits built London's banks, Liverpool's docks, and Bristol's mansions. Generational wealth. From generational trauma. They called it the Middle Passage. But for the souls aboard the Henrietta Marie, it was the edge of the world. For almost 3 centuries, the Henrietta Marie lay silent beneath the waves. No headstone. No marker. Just rust, coral, and time sealing its secrets. It was by accident that treasure hunter Mel Fisher's dive crew stumbled upon a scattered graveyard of rusted manacles and bronze cannons. At first, they thought it was Spanish treasure. But what they found was far more haunting. There were no gold coins. No jewels. Just evidence of lives chained and lost, iron shackles, glass beads, pewter bowls, and a ship's bell. Engraved with a name long forgotten, Henrietta Marie, 1699, that bell told a story Britain had tried to bury. It confirmed what the ledgers only hinted at. This was not just a ship, it was a floating prison. A graveyard for souls who never returned. The artifacts weren't cargo. They were testimony. Every shackle told of bondage. Every bead of betrayal. And every cannon of the violence that enforced it. The recovery of the Henrietta Marie reignited a painful truth. For many descendants of the enslaved, this ship wasn't history, it was family. And the ocean had held their story captive for too long. They came to mourn, to remember, and to reclaim the names erased by waves and profit. The Henrietta Marie did not go down quietly. It whispered from the deep, and finally, the world listened. Before the Henrietta Marie sank into the Atlantic, it completed its dark voyage of commerce. Every link of chain, every heartbeat stolen, had a price, and Britain was eager to pay it. To the merchants of London, the Henrietta Marie was not a vessel of horror, it was an asset. It carried over 190 enslaved Africans to Jamaica. Men, women, children, listed as inventory. Valued in pounds, traded like tea. The numbers were staggering. A single slave could earn profits of up to 100%. The voyage was dangerous, yes, but when it succeeded, it made fortunes. And what funded Britain's rise as a global empire? Sugar, cotton, tobacco, all grown on slave plantations. The Henrietta Marie was one of hundreds, floating links in a brutal supply chain stretching from Africa to the Americas and back to Europe. Each slave ship was a cog in the machine. And the Henrietta Marie turned with chilling efficiency. The men who financed the Henrietta Marie were not pirates or outlaws. They were respected gentlemen, MPs, guild members, churchgoers. They toasted to the Queen, dined in silk, and traded human souls before supper. Even the Church of England owned shares in slave voyages. What sank with the Henrietta Marie was not just a ship. It was the myth of innocence. It exposed the elegant hands that profited from pain, and showed that cruelty wore powdered wigs and tailored coats. For nearly 3 centuries, the Henrietta Marie lay forgotten beneath the waves, her secrets sealed by salt and time. But the sea does not keep silence forever. In the summer of 1972, a team of treasure hunters searching for Spanish gold stumbled across something else entirely. Not treasure, but tragedy. Scattered on the ocean floor were manacles, leg irons, brass trade goods. No gold, but something heavier, proof of human suffering, perfectly preserved in rust. The name etched into the recovered ship's bell confirmed the nightmare. This was the Henrietta Marie, last recorded in Jamaica in 1700 before disappearing without a trace. She hadn't vanished. She drowned, with her sins intact. Unlike the ledgers and courtroom records, the wreck of the Henrietta Marie told no stories with ink. It told them with iron. There were shackles made for wrists no bigger than a child's. Tools of commerce turned into monuments of cruelty. Beneath the sea, the Henrietta Marie whispered truths too long buried, not just about a ship, but about a world that chose to forget. Now, it demanded to be remembered. The Henrietta Marie never completed her journey home, but in death she became a voice, speaking louder than any captain's log or merchant's ledger. Today, the remnants of her wreck sit in a museum in Florida. Not to glorify, but to grieve. Not to profit, but to remember. Every rusted shackle on display once held a dreamer. A parent. A child. A human being. The Henrietta Marie's rediscovery sparked documentaries, school curricula, and global exhibits. What was once lost to history now refuses to be silenced. Her bones lie in the ocean, but her legacy rises, etched in bronze, ink, and memory. The sea swallowed her, but she came back to haunt us, not for revenge, but to ask a question. Will we forget again? If this story moved you, don't let it sink in silence again. Share it. Discuss it, because history buried doesn't stay buried forever, and sometimes, the most powerful voices come from beneath the waves. Subscribe to Cortex Crime for more untold stories that demand to be heard. Like this video to keep the memory of the Henrietta Marie alive. Comment below, what legacy do we leave behind when we choose to forget?